Evening, Rochester. I'm going to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting for Rochester City Council. Today is April 28th, 2025. City Clerk.
Salvia.
Here.
Vixen.
Here.
Hauser.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
King.
Here.
Sage.
Here.
Trent.
Here.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Another full council chambers tonight, even on a beautiful spring evening. At the start of the meeting, I just wanted to congratulate Rochester. We have just been recognized as one of the 10 safest cities in Michigan, according to SafeWise. It's a big compliment not only to our police and fire department, but all of you. We're all good neighbors, helping keep each other safe, so congratulations. Moving on to public comment for anything that is not on the agenda.
Jana Yazak, 986 Churchill Circle, and representing the Assistance League at 204 South Main and 440 South Street. My New Year's resolution was to step out of my comfort zone. And between you and the Planning Commission, I think I've done it.
Good for you.
On Thursday, April 17th, Assistance League's Vice President of Fund Development, Karen Graham, and I met with John Jackson from McKenna. He explained that any retail sales on South Street are accessories for their main business. Selling swim goggles, windshield wipers, and golf clubs are accessories to the business of swim lessons, auto repair, and golf. I can't quite figure that one out, but I get it. Assistance League's business is our philanthropic programs. Furniture sales are an accessory. The furniture annex is only 12% of the total warehouse. The warehouse was purchased to hold and assemble the items needed for our programs. Again, programs are our business. With increased funds, we can expand our programs and our business. Mr. Banda confirmed that we could advertise open days and hours for our accessory furniture annex as long as we didn't have price tags on the furniture and sales transactions go through the resale connection. By the end of May, we will have that in place. Thank you to Mayor Salvia and Nick for helping us to achieve that. But that's only step one. Step two is gaining your approval to install a POS system in the annex. If you agree that selling furniture is an accessory to Assistance League's business, approval for this should come quickly. We lose sales because customers are not willing to select furniture at the annex, go to the resale connection to purchase it, and return to the furniture annex to pick up their purchase. Losing a sale creates casualties. Losing a $150 sale translates into 5 winter coats for our Operation School Bell program, or a bed for a newborn in our We Help program, or clean clothing for 7 survivors of sexual assault in our Assault Survivor program. I'm asking for your help to quickly resolve our issue. I was warned that resolving issues takes time, but I watched you find a solution to the feral cat problem and short-term rental issues. My hope is that you will quickly approve a solution for our issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I could ask by a show of hands, if you're here with the Assistance League, if you could raise your hand. So for the record, I think it's the entire council chamber. So great marketing by the Assistance League. They want to resell lots of goods so they can pay down that debt on that beautiful building on South Street. So we are on it. We're working on it, getting this issue resolved. So moving on to, is there any other public comments for things not on the agenda tonight? Okay, moving on to, we have a presentation tonight. I'd like to bring up Keenan Thomason. This is a Rochester Community Schools programming update.
Okay. think that was.
We understand, don't worry. Yeah, just wait. Thank you, ladies.
We understand.
Sorry, Keenan. Nothing about you.
No, we're just not that
It's
entertaining.
the check register report.
Right. I know. Yeah. And the consent agenda. Hey, come back.
Wait.
Wow.
Thanks for
okay.
staying, Jana. All right, Keenan, you have the floor.
Good evening. I'm Keenan Thomason, Rochester Community Schools Instrumental Music Director and Director of West Middle School Bands and Orchestras. Thank you for allowing me to showcase the district's orchestra program tonight. Throughout the years, Rochester Community Schools has made an intentional commitment to provide a dynamic, well-rounded curriculum for our students. For 10 consecutive years, RCS has been honored with the Best Communities for Music Education designation. We are only one of 21 school districts in the state of Michigan to receive this honor, and we remain committed to a curriculum that values rigorous academic and arts instruction. The RCS music curriculum is a well-rounded and begins early in a child's educational journey, with an exploration of musical textures, forms, and compositions. It advances from preschool throughout high school to include musical understanding, evaluation, analysis, expression, and performance. In August of 2016, passionate community members brought a proposal to the Board of Education to expand the existing middle school and high school offerings beyond band and choir. The district initiated a task force to research, explore, and discuss the feasibility of an orchestra program. In February of 2018, the Board of Education approved the initiation of a strings program to complete the district's music curriculum offerings. That vision was realized thanks to a donation of $137,000, the largest gift ever awarded by the Rochester Community Schools Foundation. To launch the 2018-2019 school year, violins, violas, cellos, and double basses were added to our 6th grade music rooms at all RCS middle schools. The program attracted participants quickly and grew each time those initial orchestra students advanced to the next grade level. Now we have a full district orchestra that includes musicians in grades 6 through 12, sharing their creative talents across the community. On April 1st, 2025, the district gathered all 540 orchestra students from all 4 middle schools and 3 high schools to share their musical progress and development. Our grade levels performed various arrangements of the Ode to Joy from Symphony No. 9 by Ludwig van Beethoven to showcase their growth. The evening concluded with a debut performance of a Woodland Chronicle composed by our Dr. Brandon Ulrich, Stony Creek Choir and Orchestra Director. We are incredibly proud of our music education teams. They make it look so easy, but in reality, this work is extremely complex, requiring a great deal of collaboration across schools and grade levels for seamless instruction and continuity. The progress we are making is truly impressive and is a testament to the dedication of our amazing community who support and encourage our students. Our inaugural orchestra students prepare to graduate and continue their education and training beyond high school. We wish them great success. We hope they reflect on wonderful creative opportunities they had at RCS, allowing them to flourish. Now, I have a short clip here of that performance on April 1st, 2025, of a short clip of our final rehearsal of the piece Woodland Chronicle that was composed by our very own Dr. Ulrich of Stony Creek High School. Thank you for your interest in learning more about our music program and for supporting our growth and success.
Thank you.
Bravo. Thank you, and I'd just like to thank Councilmember Jones for continuing these connections with the Rochester Community Schools and our other partners. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our consent agenda tonight. Item A is consideration to approve Gun Violence Awareness Month. That will be June. They would like to place orange ribbons around town. Item B, consideration of the renewal of the joint and cooperative agreement for the use of personal and equipment during emergencies. So this is Public Works Mutual Aid of Southeastern Oakland County. And item C, receipt of the check register. Councilmember Trent.
I don't have any questions. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with
Motion
A,
by
B, and
Trent.
C.
Motion by Trent for A, B, and C. Support by Jones. Any discussion? City Clerk.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
The agenda passes. Moving on to public hearings, item 7. This is the, I'm going to call it the main event of tonight, because this is what we've been working on for the past 8 months. So this is the public hearing regarding our 2025-2026 fiscal year budget with the millage rate to support it. So I think we'll start out with the city manager, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from Treasurer Maggio as well.
Thank you, Council. I'm glad everybody wasn't here for the budget. I was worried about that. That could have been a little daunting. Anthony was ready, though, and the music is appropriate for Anthony coming up here. It goes without saying that 999% of this, the kudos go to Anthony and Marcy and the team for putting this budget together, including city council, including department heads, including boards and commissions that all work tirelessly, like the mayor said, for 8 months to get to this point. We're a little bit ahead of schedule. I think the charter says that we have to adopt by the first meeting in May. We wanted to make sure that we had ample time for everybody to go over your budget books that you've had, ask for questions. I know this was a year that we had a lot of different things thrown into the mix, with the PSD, with the Graham coming on, with a lot of different things that we had to go through. We had multiple iterations of how we got to there today. I love that every year we come up with a theme, and I'm even let Anthony announce it. Obviously, you can see it up there, but that's how we think. We try to think, what do we have to do to get through this journey to get to the end? It's not just numbers for us, right? It's your policy that drive the numbers. What do we have to do? Who do we have to work with? How do we stretch the dollars as far as we can? We're really proud of how many grant dollars we get in, partnerships. I know, Mayor, that was your hope for this year. Your mantra was, we're going to do partnerships, and that's helped us do a lot more than we normally do with our own dollars, right? And it's just the beginning. So this obviously starts in July. We've already taken that direction and been working on that ever since last July 1st as we go through this together. So Anthony's going to go through our presentation. He helped me craft the manager's memo. I love how we broke it down in the whole thought process of the strategic way we went through this together. We did it with not 11 meetings on Saturdays, which I think we probably learned something. We might want one more sometime so we can let some of the committees talk, to let you know things. Janine's here from the CBC. They came up with some really out there, really cool ideas for this year, so coming up. So we could do that again at another council meeting when we ask for what they want to do. If this is approved tonight and their budget is in our budget, we can talk about the projects that they're doing. So historical group, CBC, all those folks did a lot of work to get ready for their goals and objectives. Obviously, DDA and PSD had goals and objectives. We had goals and objectives. Staff had goals and objectives. And those aren't just exercises. Those are the way we move forward. So with that, Anthony, again, all the kudos to him for putting this thing together.
Team effort's what it's about, right? Good evening, council. I appreciate the opportunity. Once again, another budget comes around. Aren't we excited for this? This is my favorite time. And I will not lie, I thought at the beginning everyone was gonna be here for the budget. I'm like, there's not much on the agenda. Oh yes, finally, the crowds have rejoiced and brought in today, but that's all right, we'll go with it, it'll be okay. All right, so the theme this year, choices today, success tomorrow. As Nick said, there's always a different theme every single year. We try to come up with something kind of fun and engaging because as a numbers person that talks to a lot of people, not everybody are number people. So a lot of times we like to tell stories and have themes and have different kind of ways to present the budget and to get engagement and to get understanding of what is it local government is doing. The news is obviously plastered with a lot of what bigger government is doing, but locally, that is what you see every day, impacts you more than pretty much anything at the most part. Your water, your roads, your services. We got the awesome shout out to police and fire with the, was it top 10?
Top 10.
Top 10 safest city of Rochester. That is the kind of thing and hard work that goes into preparing these budgets and direction and programs. So as we navigate through the budget, this theme is kind of built around choices today, success tomorrow. So the foundation and things that we're putting in place now is what's going to lead us down a path in the future to where we're going to end up at that point. Where we're at today was made by choices of this council and prior council years ago that helped the city thrive, made smart decisions, got us top 10 safe lists, made sure police and public safety adequately funded. Those are the things we're talking about when we look at a city budget. We are looking at just one snapshot in time, but it's always evolving. Cities don't have an end, right? There's no, well, the city is gonna, end in 10 or 15. Cities go on almost forever. So, it's one of those, we gotta prepare differently, plan differently, we look at things differently, because really that long-term planning and direction and guidance that council gives us, and through the budget process of where to allocate those very important tax dollars, that is what gets us to the future. Anthony, 10 years from now, whoever that is, will then be doing the same presentation going, man, we're now the top 5 safest city for the last 20 years. So that's what we want to have, happen. So what you'll notice throughout the budget, we pay a lot of close attention to, in the budget, the packets, there's the different department sections, and you'll see goals, objectives, safety objectives, cost-cutting objectives for every single department throughout the budget. And we're looking forward into where we're heading and setting us up for success for future Rochester. At the top of that, we have, of course, City Manager's Office, which really gets the collaboration, the leadership, the planning, and giving the overall guidance on the departments of where you need to start going to or where we need to get to. Then, of course, Finance and Treasury. If the city manager is the one driving the car, finance is the one making sure we have enough fuel, cash to get to where we want to get to along the way. And keeping finance as kind of off the hip pretty much. I mean, we're always talking and planning, and I mean, everything costs money. That's just what it boils down to. So we're always planning and making sure we can allocate appropriately. And for the clerk, as you've heard Leanne talk about before in the proposals, things like the precinct changes and the consolidation in that. These are the forward kind of projects of looking where we're heading, where we need to get to, and making changes for council to consider and set policy on along the way. And those things don't just, come by happenstance. The department heads work diligently to make sure that we're heading in a good direction with the residents and the citizens and businesses and property owners all at the forefront of that. I will not add any more to the police and fire. That was kind of already the giveaway there. That is not a surprise, but they are very caring. There is no shortage of time. You see in the community, people love to engage with the police officers, whether it's through the schools, whether it's through even just tours of the station, down at the fire station, whether it's tours, Cub Scouts, whatever it is, there's always engagement along the way, and that's vitally important. The more the residents and people feel comfortable with their police and their fire and the services, they understand it, they appreciate it, we get to know more about them. That's what builds that strong foundation in the community that we continue to build on year over year. We get to growth and infrastructure, more important components, but not as seen, building department. They're someone that's really helping to make sure we're safe, whether it's from permits, reviewing plans, making sure everything is kept correctly, built correctly, all of our inspections, code compliance, all of those things that they do in the department really make sure that we're safe and the work is done correctly and nobody is in harm's way. All the things we touch, see, feel, from roads, water, the park, everything you can look at around town, that is DPW. They are the ones making sure roads, plows, the snow's plowed, the roads are clear, it's salted in the wintertime, and then summertime, filling potholes, redoing roads. There's no shortage of budget money allocated to infrastructure, and we'll go over that in a bit as well. And then our parks. So one thing I know council doesn't see, but I'm currently the owner of our park on Google's map, because that we had to change the address. They kept sending them to some weird location at the end of Albertson, and the residents weren't happy for that. So I grabbed ownership of it so I could move the location over. But man, I tell you, I see every time somebody leaves a review for the parks, it comes in and I get to see it. 5-star, 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 5. I mean, it is amazing, and people love it. It's clean, it's easy to walk through, it's not overly crowded, it's like people love what we do with the parks and trails too. The trails, the parks, of course, I just named that because of the review side, but we spend a lot of time in the Parks Department and DPW as a whole. I know it's a source of pride for them, and it shows. And making sure they can have the latest equipment. When we talked, this last budget year about getting the new multi-use tool for the leaf vac system with the other attachments for the blowing and weed, grass cutting and all that, it's to make sure we can continue those services and operate efficiently as we move forward. So it's very much important. On the sustainability, of course, we have as well Mount Avon Cemetery, so we know we have the Daughters, the American Revolution program that we're in the middle of going. I know I saw some invoices coming in for the special lichen removing restoration solvent stuff, whatever that exactly is. But,
Very technical name.
Yeah, lichen was about as much as you're getting out of that one. But it's preserving the history, right? We have a lot of history, and there's a lot of really cool things in the city. You look right outside the police department here with getting that all redone, this spring, painting and refurbishing and fixing and the irrigation and getting the fountain back and all, the drinking fountain back and all that. I mean, that is what, we have a lot of history and things here, and we don't want to ever forget about that. And that's where we get a lot of that engagement coming into play. People want to come, they want to help, they want to build, they want to restore, they want to just even volunteer their time. And that's what makes this community really special. We're at that great size where it's not lost in, being a really, really large metropolitan kind of city. We still can keep that small community feel and that engagement continuing on in all different aspects of the city. Sliding forward to process. So now we get to talk about kind of the more nitty-gritty meat and potato kind. So we had kind of the fun stuff, and then now we're going to start transitioning to some of the more numbers and nuances of it. So the budget really, and you hear me say this every year, it never stops. The budget is a living document. It changes at least every quarter, and we talk about it all of the time. This is the point in time where the majority of the budget, the big changes, things like tax value as the big one and all that, is solidified. So now we get to come forward and say, hey, give us approval, council, for the next year to spend the money with all these priorities that are laid out, matching the different departments to the line items, so we can make sure we're spending money where council said, yes, this is the priority right now, this is where we want to set it. So we're over here now, in this section. So look, this long road that we have made it on, and now we're floating over here. So once council adopts, we'll be making preparation for the transition starting July 1, and you'll start seeing things come forward for approval, whether it's purchases or programs. And then we evaluate, and every quarter we make changes as we go. The schedule's also a document. There is, in the budget schedule, you'll see the breakout of what's done in each quarter. There is not a quarter that we don't have something going on with the budget. Maybe it's internally, just with the department heads. Maybe it's with council, depending on what the item is. And that is nonstop. So we never stop thinking about it, because we always want to make sure we're heading in the right direction and we're getting the right priorities, and we're trying to get things, identify issues or opportunities as quickly as we can as they come up to. We never want to hit a point to say, oh, that sounds really good. Let's look at that opportunity next year. Bring it up at goals and objectives. No, we like to hit it right when the iron is hot. We're gonna take advantage of anything that pops up, whether it's grants, like Nick mentioned earlier. It could be grants, it could be partnerships with neighboring communities, or however that looks like. We never wanna stop and go, we'll talk about it next year. We always remain very diligent on that. Part of the process that we start, the early part with council in the annual process for the budget is the SWOT analysis. Now, at some point in time, we may change from SWOT. There's a bunch of different versions of tools you can use. This has been one that's been relatively easy for everyone to use and understand, so we've been sticking with it, and it's been working, I think, very well for now. And what you'll see in this is the final version that council voted on for each of the sections. So the strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. And what then the challenge is on the city manager down to the department heads is we want to get as many of these things addressed as we can. So if you look then at the department levels, and you'll see all their different objectives that they set for each of the departments, you'll see a little parentheses piece at the end, and you'll see an S1, W5, O4, whatever it is. So the goals and objectives on the department level are here to support the vision and direction of council. So if there's ever anything, well, I'd really like to do this, all right, what does it match? It has nothing to do, I think, putting in airport in the cities, like, I don't see where airport needs to be in here anywhere. So it doesn't make sense, it doesn't get put into the budget or any of the goals. It has to be something that aligns with it. Maybe we want one, I don't know. I always just say that each year. I really want a helipad, I think that would be pretty cool. All right, so now we get into just brief high-level summary. I'm gonna get into some breakouts after this, but here's where we're looking at right now. We have the current upcoming budget 25.6, so revenues 18.6 million, expenditures 18.5 million, at 101,000 net to the positive at the end of that. So our expenses are below the revenues, and if you look, it is pretty flat, but projected the same for each of the years. We're still 101, 128, and 134. As we get through the end of this third year, if council remembers, a big bulk of what we expend is personnel, because really, we offer services. That's what local government does. Our job is services. To provide services, you need people. So the thing that's nice about having it be stable is that the union contracts and all that, the majority, they're all ending in 28. So we have very predictable labor costing at least through 28. The stuff that's unpredictable, who knows what is happening with healthcare, that is always a surprise every time that comes around. But we will deal with that like we always do. When it comes, we'll make the adjustments and changes as needed to support and make sure that we stay as positive as we can through the budget and the forecasting. The matrix side, so if you want to say the asks for the year, so when the department heads all met, These are things that are not in the budget that are being done now, that are things that were being requested, that we talked about during the couple Saturday meetings, about where we want to go to with the departments. So we have, for police, that's probably one of the large ones. And, this one is not as exciting, but we need new equipment. The cameras are getting old and need to be replaced. The body cameras, the vehicle cameras, redacting software. There's a lot of enhancements that need to be done to that. Now, good news is since the number was presented, it'll be a number south of that. We had in there originally 106 a year. Chief George had sent information sooner that said, you know what, this is gonna be changed, this is gonna be changed, so it'll be a number much lower than that when this comes forward to you. Also not as exciting, but server replacement. We have a lot of computers, we run a lot of systems here at the city, whether it's the billing systems, payroll systems, HR, SCADA systems for water, sewer, those components and systems need to be replaced and modernized. That's the one where I have it here in the pull forward. We're about finalized on the last quote, and we're gonna look at using the current year's surplus to fund that versus putting it in next year's budget. We have updated signage that we're gonna put around town because it's getting old and worn, and we need to have some nicer signs, because at some point you have to replace those as well. Big service improvement, this one I love to see in here, is also fire and police related. And that's getting and moving forward with emergency medical dispatch and fire dispatch software. So that's modernizing the dispatch system, which will end up being a huge service enhancement to the residents. So when they need help and they're calling 911, medical assistance or fire assistance for a fire-related item, the new system will make sure to cut down on time and it makes sure that the right resources are sent quicker. Because time is of the utmost importance in all of these situations, so to make sure we get the right services, equipment, and things as quick as possible is vital, and that is a big, big benefit for the community, which is great to see. We're doing some minor capital work on the east deck just to protect some equipment. Nothing super exciting there, but we just spent, in the last couple years, all the money to revamp and modernize the parking gates and the equipment. We want to make sure to protect those assets, and so we don't lose those prematurely and have to replace those sooner than it's needed. We run through the precinct consolidation. You'll have some discussions with Joellen on the wage and benefits side. And then, of course, we have the CBC projects, which they have some really cool projects that they're doing. CBC is a really awesome committee, or commission committee, whichever one, City Beautiful Commission.
Either one.
Yes, I'll go with it, that they're doing. So a lot of the things you see around town, whether it's like the mural in the park and that, they've helped build and put this together, and they continue on with that. Historical as well, we talked about the cemetery and the DAR for the Revolution, the headstones and all that. That's things that they're helping to work with, along with cemetery committee and that, everybody's working together. There's a lot of overlap to make sure that these keep going forward, and we get to some pretty cool projects getting done here. All right, moving to summary for general fund. It is probably not surprising to see the 66% is obviously from taxes. That is every municipality's biggest source of revenue. With that, we're looking at then things like state returns, miscellaneous revenue, and as you'll see, we're at a surplus and there is no little carrot or anything. There is no fund balance being utilized for this budget coming up, and that would be to help, balance the budget. Oh, we're at a deficit, you plug fund balance in to balance it. None of that. We have a very good budget outlined on this one. So, moving to expense side, general fund, this is how it's broken out. When I say we're a service business, this just shows you that we're a service business, right? If you look at the services provided, whether it's environmental and sanitation, parks and rec, this whole thing, public works, building, fire department, police department, clerk, for elections and that, and then, you know, we're just helping to support all of these departments up in our area up here, but that is the bulk of the city's budget. We are spending this on services, that is where it is going. This little piece here that says appropriation to other funds, that's the transfer, that's the infrastructure piece. So council has dedicated in the city's millage a 0.94 mils be spent on infrastructure. Since those projects are not in general fund, those are transfers out. So even this is a version of a service, right? It's gonna be either roads or it's gonna be water or sewer. Those are basically the main infrastructure ones, followed by facilities if needed. Like when we look at things in the parks and that, that also could count as well. In the back section, I know this is very easy to read in this, but we always look at what are the changes and summaries, you know, plus or minus 5% and $15,000. So those things you can see listed in the back section of the budget, and it has both the GL numbers, the amounts, the change, and then there's a description of what it is. Why did something change? It could just be things like, well, our normal permit activity, we keep budgeting low on that, we need to increase it. Okay, that could just be an increase then. It could be a contract that's settled for, you know, well, we made an adjustment and matched the contracts now. So you'll see those summaries by line item in the back. Taxable value by class. So yay for year two, but also not surprising, we are 78% residential right now for the current, for tax year, at $1,069,000,000. So we are continuing on the billionaires club. That probably didn't sound great, because that sounds like we have too much money. It's the billionaire taxable value club, not that the city does not have $1 billion. I can promise you that. But this is our breakout right now. So we have residential, commercial, industrial, and then personal property. And what's important to keep in mind on these things is there's pluses and minuses for having different mixes of these. So when you get hit hard economically, that traditionally hits commercial pretty quickly. And then there's always the lag effect on when our values are to when we tax. So we can see based on what's happening, and you heard from Oakland County Assessing two meetings ago on kind of where the city's going. That's what helps us kind of balance our portfolio, if you will, right? So we have good, strong residential market, great. That's 78% of that 66%. And then, of course, we have commercial, which is mostly all downtown and then South Street. And then we have the industrial properties like PAR, Endo, whatever the name of the week is for them. And as we go into personal property, that's one that it will continue decreasing, because ultimately this started with Snyder's, been continued to be carried through different administrations at the state. To be competitive nationally, it's been fought to get rid of and then start eliminating the personal property tax. So that continues to change, and that will continue to go down year over year. Just so that's how it works. That's what the state says. So general millage. Now the breakout here, I know it's a bit hard to see, but this green section, that 9.4, that's the dedicated infrastructure millage. So that's the part that council says, you know what, we have the operational baseline, right, 11.5964. We don't want to change it. But back in 18 and then again in 22, there was 2 increases to say, you know what, we need to hit roads. At this time, roads, infrastructure, water, sewer, we need to make sure that we get ahead of this, because repairs and maintenance early on with issues is almost infinitely cheaper than letting it break. So doing the preventative maintenance, just like you would on your car or the house, you're gonna fix leaks, you're gonna fix the plumbing, you're gonna change the oil in the car, because you don't want the expensive engine to blow up. It's much cheaper to change the oil a couple times a year. That's where this money is dedicated to going. Now, I will say, council has each year been putting even more than what this is into infrastructure. But that was it, that was kind of like a minimum amount, and then we've been exceeding that. So that is just an earmark on how that lays out. When we look at these two graphs for millages, the most common thing, and it's kind of funny because, and I'm gonna say it's funny for this reason, if you look at different municipalities' budgets, it's now gotten to a point where most have some version of this that they try to spin or do their own, way of it. I just think it's funny because everyone is always trying to compare themselves to everybody else. But as you know, every city is unique. Every village, township, I don't know that it's much of a competition more than information, because everyone is different. And with this, you can see that in this is just the total rate comparison to these various communities, whether it's Troy, Novi, Rochester Hills, et cetera, all the way through Royal Oak, all the way through the list here, kind of where we land. And then this one here, where you see essential services, this is the one I always liked. The reason I like that one is when you look at, like I said earlier, we're a service business. That's what local government does. So, we include trash in the general fund, right? Your taxes pay for your trash. Where if you're in other municipalities, you pay separately for that. So that doesn't appear in a millage rate, right? Because you're just paying more. But if you live there, you still have more cost to pay. So what we've done is we literally just combine, we look at water, sewer, trash, police, fire, EMS, the basic stuff that no matter where you live, you need trash pickup, you need water, you need police, fire, you need all of those things. And we just convert that based on their budget numbers into a millage rate, and then we add them together. So this is where I always like to say that we're a high service delivery, very value-based, as being number 30 on the list, third lowest in the comparisons. Because when you start adding all those other things in, it starts shifting the orders around. So I want to say it's not a competition, but we will take bragging rights. All right, OPEB pension funding. Pension is in the red here, not in the red as in bad, but in the red color on the graph. And then OPEB is here in the blue color on the chart. This has been just a ride all over the place because, and this is the unpredictability on the healthcare side. Every year when they start looking at the numbers and the actuarials try to take into account all these big swings, it just goes all over the board. So that's why we're on ever 108, 80, 145, 127, 140, it's all over. Pension on the other side is very predictable for the most part. And the main drivers of this fluctuation is really just market performance. It's where we were planning on supposed to get, 7.25%, and we got, welcome to COVID day 0.00000. So now you end up losing out for not any performance, unpredictable. The amount owed is very predictable. It's just the unknown with what's going on in the markets. So that was a lot of information, but I want to open, or I'll give it back to Nick, or if there's questions now or details, happy to run through as much or little as you would like.
All right, so council, I know we've had a lot of discussions, a lot of meetings around this. We're going to have a public hearing on this. City Clerk, am I supposed to do the public hearing first or a motion?
I think public hearing.
Public hearing. All right. So at this time, I think I'd like to do the public hearing. So it is 7:45. I'm going to open the public hearing for the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget for the city of Rochester. Would anyone like to make a comment regarding the budget?
It was that information.
Mayor Sylvia,
Yes?
I have a caller online with their hand raised, just to let you know.
Well, then let's take the caller. Hello, caller on the line, you have the floor.
Hello, it's Jane Turner.
Hi, Jane.
I would like to know, within that budget, was there anything for the electronic speed limit signs on Parkdale?
Thank you, Ms. Turner.
So
Treasurer Maggio, do you want to answer that? This is a public comment, and it is a public hearing, but,
Absolutely, I'm happy to say that there is not. That usually will come as a request to city council, because those are typically above the cost. And Chief George would have further information on any areas of concern.
okay, thank you.
I requested it before your budget meeting, so nothing was discussed?
Yeah, so it was discussed at our budget workshop. I know there were several other areas in the cities that were discussed, but there was no action taken regarding those requests.
So I have to wait till next year?
Yep.
So,
This is public
so I
comment.
appreciate, hi, Jen, it's Nick. So we will keep monitoring that, Chief George, and we use TIA, the Traffic Improvement Area, and we just did this up on Runyon. The association up there had some concerns about kids crossing to go across the swim club. So we look at that, we have the experts look at that, they give us a recommendation. They did not recommend that at this point, we need the speed signs on Parkdale. I know it irritates you, but they didn't find it met the threshold that would require us to spend the dollars for that at this point. But having said that, we always reevaluate all the time. We keep our eyes on these situations. There's a couple of them that we've taken down before, and two went up on Ludlow, actually. So it doesn't have to wait a whole year. If the need is there, we would evaluate it at that time.
Okay, thank you.
I know, but this is supposed to be a main thoroughfare. And when people go by my house at 45 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, it's very annoying.
I understand, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here in person that would like to make a public comment? I think what I'd like to do is have DDA after the public hearing and then city council questions. So I thought I saw a hand raised there. Would you like to come address the podium, please?
I didn't know I had to come up.
Yes, you do. We want to see your face and we want to hear where you live and your name.
I'll tell you a little bit.
Okay.
All right, I'm Carol Dimitri, and I live in Village Apartments. And I called about some of the refuse that is in the area of our community. And the reason I'm asking you, why don't we have code enforcement? I tried to get someone to tell me about code enforcement, and they said, unless someone leaves a refrigerator with a door unhinged, or, you know, a door that some child can get into the refrigerator or whatever, and that's not secured, the fire department will take care of that. But other than that, we have no code enforcement in Rochester, the city of Rochester. What would that come under if we did have one?
Okay, thank you for your comment, City Manager.
So I'm not sure who you talked to. Are you sure you talked to the city of Rochester? We have a massive code enforcement situation. Are you talking about Village Green Apartments?
Yeah.
So you guys take care of your own garbage, your own site. We do not have control over that, other than if it becomes a blight problem, then we would contact their management. But we have a giant presence in code enforcement in the city, so I'm not sure. If you call me, I can explain everything to you.
It was a lady, and I can't remember her.
She would never say we don't have code
She was a
enforcement.
secretary to the mayor.
If it was Holly,
In
Holly
Rochester
knows.
Hills.
Yes.
Holly, she would not tell you that there's no code
She
enforcement.
said the only code enforcement we have in your development would be if someone had a refrigerator there, which they didn't.
Yeah, you're talking about two different
Fire
things.
chief.
Chief John's gonna explain to you.
Yep.
He's coming up.
Okay. Can I sit down?
There we go. Boots on the ground, right here.
She was correct. She reported trash outside of the dumpster areas inside the enclosures. We spoke and put Village Green on notice that they have to go ahead and take care of it. We suggested them, just as the city manager did, about increasing their frequency of pickup. And I appreciate her comment, and I would ask her in the future, if you see that again, please call my office at the fire department, ask for the fire chief, and I'll follow up on it for you.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you. Public comment is such an important part of our process, and if you sense that I'm a little uncomfortable about it, it's because I want to make sure we're hearing from everyone, but it's really not supposed to be a debate or discussion, or we're not supposed to fix anything. So really, at this point in time, it's really just public comment, and we're supposed to listen. So I apologize if that seems a little awkward, but just wanted to clarify that. So anything else regarding the budget? Brian, I don't see any other callers. Anyone else in chamber wanting to make a comment regarding the budget? Okay. 7:51, I will close the public hearing for our budget. So I think we've got a bit more information that maybe Christie with the DDA would like to present as well. DDA/PSD, which hat do we have on?
I have my PSD hat.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. So, in your packet, you saw a new and improved new version of the PSD budget based on when we were here 2 weeks ago. And we got the directional approval with the in partnership with the DDA, that the DDA would now be taking over the Big Bright Light Show and the fundraising activities related to that, and the farmers market. And in addition to that, there was the agreement on the cross-charge changes based on the city's policy. When workload is projected to shift, the cross charges then shift. Having said that, then that gave us a budget to work with, which we had a special PSD meeting last week. And we have the budget in front of you that was included in the packet that was unanimously approved at that meeting. I can give you a couple high-level highlights and then certainly answer any questions that you might have. So starting out, we did, for the third time, we went down to 0 and then built back up again. So based on the numbers that we had, went through everything, starting with revenue, really dug in to look at projections for this year, money that we know will be in hand. I may have mentioned it before, but in case you don't recall, we're fundraising year-round, but generally speaking, for our larger events, we start those at the very beginning of the year or even the previous year to set up those sponsorships, because a lot of our partners like annual agreements. Some of the businesses downtown can react to smaller things. If we have a $500 opportunity, a $100 opportunity, based on what their funds are at the time. But a lot of our bigger sponsors like to plan ahead for those expenditures. So we went through all of our revenue lines to see what monies in the past year do we bring in, what guarantees do we already know money in hand or commitments that are coming, and then adjusted some of our revenue line items there. Additionally, on the other side of things, we heard from the council that you wanted to make sure that we weren't keeping programs just for the sake of keeping programs. We also heard that Fire and Ice was something that everyone was interested in. We hadn't actually not just heard it here, but we've heard that from a lot of our businesses, but of course it was a function of dollars, because the Oakland County, when they were our partner, amazing partner, and they brought so many of the things because they had the equipment and the facilities and the manpower, which we just don't have. So on the expenditure side, you will see that there are 2 programs that we are not going to be continuing for the fiscal year 26. On the event side, it is a snowman stroll. That is something that we had talked about. The committee, as we looked at things, we tried to look at things in a do no harm, events within events. So something, example, other than snowman is inside of Big Bright Light Show. So would that drastically impact Big Bright Light Show? Is it a need to have or a nice to have? And so that's how the snowman sort of rose to the top of that. Another example would be, one that we looked at was Dancing in the Street. Dancing in the Street is inside of sidewalk sales. Does it bring a decided more amount of people to sidewalk? Is it bringing more registers because it's there? Maybe. But we thought that looking at things that way, we didn't want to take away an event that we know has a proven track record for bringing registers. We're very keen on anything that we change in the budget. How does it affect the bottom line of our taxpayers? And for us, that's the businesses. And so we tried to have a do no harm in that way. So that's why the snowman went away. On the flip side of that, we actually merged two promotions. Currently, we have two food-based promotions. We have our Foodie February, which takes place in February, and our Taste of Fall. You guessed it, takes place in the fall. Foodie February is actually more register ringing. That one, if you're not familiar, we're asking people to dine downtown, whether it's dine in or carry out. Text a copy of their receipt to us through our downtown texting service, and then we do weekly drawings, and we do a grand prize drawing, and the drawings are all for downtown restaurant gift certificates. It's been a super popular program for us, and people really like that, and it always tell me, it reminds people that in the dead of winter to maybe think about Rochester when you're thinking about going out to eat. Taste of Fall, a little bit prettier, a little bit more of a promotion. We're trying to encourage people to look at all the cool things that our restaurants do. They do special menus during that time. And so that was something else we do, but not necessarily register ringing, but a little bit more image building and awareness building. So we decided, take that, save a little money, merge the two, and Foodie February is the one that rang out because again, it's a food-based promotion, but it's a retail, or it's a register ringing promotion. And we thought that would be great, and with the monies, there's still gonna be a net savings, but we're gonna be able to do actually giveaway drawings every single day for downtown restaurant gift certificates. So again, it's every day in the month of February, driving those dollars home. Having said all of that, the big reveal, here we go. Fire and Ice is back, and when I say, you may have noticed at my last few meetings, I kept saying a version of Fire and Ice, or some type of thing that has fire and or ice. Nick did a favor for us and sent an email that I had sent to him, to the Director of Parks at Oakland County to say, is there any way we could use the name Fire and Ice? That was something that came from the county. We don't want their logo, we don't want their social, we don't want any of that. They can keep it all, we just want the name because, as you know, and I'm looking at Maryland from a branding perspective, no matter what we call this thing, it's Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
So Nick was successful and excited to share with me that they are willing to allow us to use the name Fire and Ice again. So along with that, Jenna went hard at work trying to figure out what it would take to bring back something that is the level of Fire and Ice that people would expect. So we talked about it at promotions, or at the PSD committee, and at this point, what we're talking about is still maintaining the parts that we used to do, which is all the ice sculptures downtown, collegiate carving, working with the Lions on 3rd Street so that they do the fundraising with their s'more kits, having a photo spot there, but then having everything coming down the hill like it used to, using the market and the Graham as the headquarters of everything. We're looking at bringing in a snow slide. It's called Snowzilla. Not kidding, that's the name of it. In addition to that, a skating rink where you don't have to bring your own skates. Skates will be provided.
Oh, wow.
And then Bouncy, the world's tallest snowman. You know, 50 people at a time inside the bouncing snowman, I kid you not. But in addition to that, the collegiate carving would move down there. And then one of the other big hallmarks of the Fire and Ice Festival was the warming tent. Well, we don't need a warming tent because we have a building called the Graham. And so provided that the DDA, our partners, will allow us to slip in there, we will be moving our Taste Fest in there, working to also bring back the beer tent aspect of it, which was super popular. And then last but not least, one of the other hallmarks of Fire and Ice were the fireworks. We don't think we can afford 2 nights, so Saturday night fireworks. So that's the other major change. When you look through the budget, you see there's a big jump from $25,000 to $75,000 for Fire and Ice. But if we want it back, and again, it's a register ringing event, our merchants have felt it ever since it went away. Not that we had any control over it, the county had different priorities, and we thank them for all the time that they were able to spend with us, but it's time to bring it back because I think that's gonna be really important for the merchants. So, overall, the net increase, or net effect on everything, is that we do have money in hand. We sat down with Anthony and Marcy to figure out, okay, what are other things that we need to be thinking of? They went through everything on the list with me, pointing out a couple things, like Anthony had very astutely said with the magazine, postage increase, we need to be thinking about that coming. We need to think about the tribunals. Nothing has come forward yet because usually that is after the tax bills go out. But because of the sheer number of ones that came in, even though we have been successful in the past, he wanted us to hold on to some money for that. And then, of course, and there's a note here that I have from Anthony, it says other unknowns in this economy. So we're leaving it there so that we have some flexibility and some wiggle room. And that is the budget that was included in your packet. And I'm happy to answer any questions related to that.
Thank you. So that's a lot of detail. That sounds exactly like what we talked about at our last meeting. Sounds like what council asked for. I know Councilmember Jones, our PSD liaison, was as boots on the ground in that meeting, taking that charge. Are there any questions from council on that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one.
Councilmember Jones?
So first off, I want to thank the PSD committee for how much work went into this, all of us. So thank you for that, the many versions, and thanks for the final one. And then just wanted to explain like the revenue just piece real quick. Like you plan on 95% and then you kept the 15,000. Can you just address that for a minute?
Yeah, for the
The
tribunal
assessment,
center?
and for the assessments, that what you plan on in income,
Right,
just
yeah.
that little piece.
Unlike most other funds, PSD really operates literally on the dollar by dollar sort of situation. There's not a fund balance, so timing on cash flow is very important. And it doesn't matter what the economy is doing, there are always those that don't pay. So there's always a lag, even on the assessment, to when you're gonna collect the assessment. And then when you look at like the tribunal side, I mean, there's still cases at 3 years before they get to them. So, I mean, it could be, and Attorney Crowd watches that with the county much closer, but talking with the county, this assessment could be over with before a result is given from the tax tribunal, right? So you have money that was already way spent and gone, and now all of a sudden you have to create it out of thin air. So I'm like, let's be careful and mindful of those things, let alone the economy and what's going on with, I don't wanna keep talking tariff stuff, but a lot of the stuff that's purchased promotional stuff is made elsewhere. So who knows what Christmas lights are gonna cost per strand when they get to be ordered and all those other things. So there's a lot of unknowns that would normally be more known. And there's nowhere for the money to come from, because at the end of it, if things go over, there's no balance to it. So you gotta be at least conservative enough to build in a couple of things. And then, as we get to the later in the year, if things become, more stable, normal, however it ended up, if there is money left over at that point, then that gives you the opportunity to then either for the next year do a really giant fireworks for the next year, maybe a drone show, fireworks drone show.
Yes.
But then at least you can wade through a lot of the unknowns right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's an important clarification. PSD budget, every dollar that comes in has to go out, different than any other part of our budget. All right, council, so we've had the public hearing, we've had questions. Do I have a motion regarding the 2025-2026 budget?
I actually have a question.
Councilmember Sage.
So we start the budget process in December, right? And then we go through 3 budget workshops, if you will, January, February, March. So I guess I'm going to ask, and if I have to make a motion to do so, why can't we have everybody's budget contained within those workshops? Because historically, the DDA and the PSD come the one meeting before we have this meeting and present a budget to us. That's not tenable. So can we contain that within those budget workshops?
Yeah, so I think our calendar, actually, we start the budget process in September.
Okay.
And so I think we talked about at the last meeting that we wanted to pull a number of things forward. In my mind, I want to have the cross-charge discussion earlier. I want to have a discussion on inflation earlier. I don't want to be having DDA, PSD budget discussions at the last meeting. We want to pull a lot of things forward. So that's going to come down to council and the budget subcommittee laying out that calendar and all of us paying attention to it, saying, yep, this is what we want. This is how we want to do the budget. Assuming we're all still on council, since a lot of us have to get reelected. So I guess my answer would be yes. And, looking at council, manager, finance director, that's a yes.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. And that is a big part of the process, right, is that evaluation piece, that last step. How did it work? Or maybe was rough, and now let's change it for next year. It's a fluid document, the process, we're in control of the process, right? We can make anything happen. And so when we have those pain points, we don't like pain points to repeat themselves, and we address those, as the mayor said. And so it will be different than this upcoming.
And obviously, there's pieces of the budget that, we need revenue forecasts from the state. There are some things that don't come in until certain times, but there are other things that we could certainly pull ahead.
We'll add asterisks to that.
Right. Assumptions.
Yep.
Councilmember Jones.
And just one other comment, because I think Joe might have mentioned this at our final meeting last week, is that maybe halfway through the year, having, so that there isn't so much at the end of the year with PSD like this year, where we went back and forth with programs, come and just kind of evaluate, where are they, halfway through the year? How are the, just like you do with general finance, we get the quarterly, we don't need it quarterly, but maybe halfway through the year, this did really well, this didn't do as well. So we aren't at the end of the year starting kind of from scratch.
Yep.
Right, we talked about that. It's
Yep,
Jill's idea.
Good comment. So council, process-wise, so when we have a motion on the floor, then we can have lots of questions, lots of discussion. I'm sure everyone has something they want to say about the budget.
Sure. So I'll go ahead. I'll just make a
Councilmember
motion.
Hauser.
If I could, I would make a motion to adopt the 25-26 fiscal year proposed budget as presented and discussed at the meeting this evening.
Including the
millage rate to support it. That's correct.
Motion by Hauser,
Support.
support by Jones. So now, any other, I'm sure everyone wants to say something, so I'm going to start with Councilmember King.
I feel like we've talked about this
Right.
for so many months. I don't really have anything specific. I guess the one thing I wanted to just more confirm in the presentation from today, the capital matrix items, project matrix items, those are included in our budget, right? In the net
Correct.
revenue expense forecast?
Correct, yeah, so
He
the,
misspoke.
I think you misspoke.
You misspoke.
You said they
Oh.
weren't included.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's okay.
Thank
These
you.
are the ones we
thought they
approved.
were
Correct.
included.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they are in, so the net numbers include, all of this is in the budget, and we're still at a net positive. Yeah, sorry for misspeaking on that one, yes, these are all into the budget. And, in the back section, the policies, you'll actually have GL numbers. If I didn't print that with it, I'll make sure you have them, of where you can find each of these, because we thought it'd be good to have the GL number that goes with it, so you know exactly where this is put into the budget.
Thank you. Councilmember Sage? All good?
Good?
Councilmember Jones?
Yeah, as just mentioned, I feel like we've gone through this a lot.
Yeah.
I think I've said all I
Councilmember
need to
Trent?
say.
Yes, I think that this is a great process that we went through. I think that the department requests were very reasonable, and it was a great collaborative experience working with the department heads as you were discussing some of your needs, and I think that was winnowed down to a nice solid amount. And I know that there's discussion about the fund balance off and on, but I think in these times we have things like possible these tariffs and other questions and inflation or possible recession, I think that this is a good recession-proof budget, and I'm very pleased with it. And thank you for all the hard work that you and Marcy and the rest of the council has done.
Thank you. Councilmember Hauser?
Just very briefly, thank you, Anthony, thank you, Marcy, to the chiefs, Cieslak, Ruhab, and obviously Christy and Ben, thank you, and Nick, thanks for all the work that you've done, putting all this information together for us so that we can make an informed and evaluative decision, so thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Vixen?
Yes, I'd also like to thank Nick, Anthony, Marcy, and their crew of support staff, chiefs. Thank you to Nick, Anthony, and Marcy for answering questions that I think all of us have and gotten back to us very quickly, so thank you for that. I will support this budget. It is a balanced budget, which, as long as I've been on council, it has been balanced, and I think that's important in these times that we have a balanced budget. Our fund balance is very large, and again, going into uncertain times, I think that's a positive, not a negative. We fully fund our police, fire, city services, the important things that I think make the city what Rochester is. So I think this is a very good process. I thank everybody for it, and again, I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My comments are similar. I just really want to thank everyone. This is a tremendous amount of hard work, but it's really probably the most important thing that we do. I think it's important that, there's no change in tax rate. Our millage rate is staying the same, and that includes the PSD assessment, unchanged for this year and next year. When we hopefully approve this budget tonight, we approve the 1 year, but we have a rolling 3-year forecast, so we're always looking at least 2 years out for a total of 3. We did start in August on this, and there's, been various boards, commissions, committees. We reviewed our key policies, our fund balance policy, our principles, our definitions, our capital improvement plan, our cross-charge policy, our revolving equipment policy. All of those policies are reviewed. I would like to thank the department heads for your thoughtful work that you've done, including in the book. We've got your plans, we've got your goals for the next year, we've got even some cost reduction ideas, things that you're looking to save our tax dollars on. So I want to thank all of you for all of your hard work on that. It is an $18.6 million budget. I'm very proud of the fact of the public service that we provide for those dollars with our own police department, fire department, our sanitation and library contracts, all while funding water, sewer, roads, and some very important building and capital projects this year. We've been talking about them for quite a while, but the funding for them is in this. We've got the community house, the skate park, and with the partnership with the DDA, the Graham. Yes, that did cause us to take on a bit of debt. That's $188,000 per year. That's what we expect the debt service to be on that. So that's included in this budget. And we do have a good, strong general fund balance. We're looking 3 years out where we're adding a little bit to that fund balance, but that tells me that we're not taking in, or we're not taxing more than we should be. What comes in, we're using and putting to use in our community. You talked about the pension and the health care funding for our retirees. This is very important. These are promises that we have made to our employees and retirees to pay their pension and pay their health care. And we are well funded. If you look at including our Section 115 trust, which is an additional $6.7 million, we are 89% funded versus the 86% funded there. So 89% on pension, and 147% on health care. That is strong funding for future liabilities that go out 40, 50 years. What else did I want to say? So lastly, in conclusion, to Councilmember Sage's point, I have a couple of opportunities and thoughts that I've been thinking about for future budgets. I would like to have council have some discussion regarding what I would call excess fund balance over our policy. In other municipalities, they allocate that to the capital fund. So that is something that I think council should deliberate on. Council could always move it back to general fund. But if you think about it, in the future, we may have to do something with City Hall or for the police department. And so possibly part of that funding would come from the capital fund that could be funded with general fund. So just a thought that I wanted to put out there for council. We do need to have some early discussions on inflation. There are some parts of the budget revenue-wise that grow with inflation, and there's some parts of our budget that costs increase with inflation, but not all of them. So we need to kind of have a better understanding of that, more transparency on our cross charges, and earlier discussions on PSD and DDA budgets to avoid multiple meetings late in the process. So I think we're all in agreement on that, and this has been a great collaborative effort and showing very strong stewardship of the tax dollars that we're entrusted with. City Clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
The city budget has passed. Yes.
City Beautiful was here to present their budget. Are we not doing that then?
We're going to do that.
I was going to address that.
Okay.
Yes. So if we could just celebrate, that was a 7-0 budget pass. I know city manager always wants a 7-0. Hard work. And I know Janine is here from City Beautiful. I think you were here if you wanted to ask any questions, or did you want to talk about some of the things that City Beautiful has planned?
She has a presentation. Yeah.
Oh, you have a presentation?
Yeah.
On the
why don't you come forward and tell us all the amazing things? She texted me and told me she was just going to answer questions.
She sent me a presentation to
While Janine's getting that, if you may. So we talked some really cool stuff. City Beautiful, this group are extremely energized. And a couple of the projects are things that are in our park. So we said once the budget's approved, then we would bring them back individually when we bid them out, et cetera. But it's such a cool thing that they're doing. I thought it'd be fun to let you see something after we celebrate. So Janine's done a great job putting this presentation together. It's
Excellent.
short and quick. There we go.
It's just short and sweet on locations. We were.
Yep.
With
Thank you
awesome
for-
photographs.
Yeah.
That's what she is.
That's her job.
All right, so, first project doesn't cost the city any money because Debbie Jones has been working with the, Eagle Scouts for the megaphone, but. So, right here, we work a lot with Colin at the parks and, regarding locations, what's gonna work with the parks, we don't wanna get in the way, arts and apples, things like that, so he keeps us going in the right direction. So that's the megaphone. There's a few up north in Michigan, Petoskey High School, Woodshot made one in their area, so ours would be done by the Eagles, some local Eagle Scouts.
That's
So I don't know
super
if
cool.
you can tell the river there, and we have some bluebird houses in that wet meadow. There's gonna be signage there. So we've been doing some rough things there with Rochester Pollinators, Clinton River Watershed Council.
Yeah.
So that's that one. At the new All Abilities Park, which I didn't go out and do a new photo of this one. In the budget, we requested to do 2 raised beds and 2 of the shelters that are also, there's a photo in there in a second, that are also at the sugar maple grove that we have had put in. So this is in the budget that you just went through. So they'd be like over here, some raised beds and picnic shelters.
Oh, yay. Yay.
And I can throw in, it's kind of neat, a lady already wanted to buy a bench, and her husband, late husband, he had disabilities, and they had a child that was disability. So when I told her that could be the first bench of that area, she was ecstatic, and we got it in last week. It's going to be installed next week. So there's more opportunities, Marcy. We said I figured like 7 benches we could get in there and really make it a real great place for moms and dads sitting watching the kids play. So that's a great opportunity.
That's great.
And Marcy gave me the idea for the sensory garden for this, and then we thought this would be a good area, and we made it raised so that anyone in a wheelchair
Can get to it.
could have access. So we'll do like, different sensory plants, native plants in there, of course, also, but like
Of course.
lamb's ear and things like that, different things to
Sure.
touch, smell,
Yeah.
explore, and then we'll maintain those beds. So that was just the pricing breakdown that we came up with roughly.
Oh, wow.
And then our first trial rain garden, again, Colin at Parks helped us find this spot. There's another spot, he's still working out drainage that we'd love to get our hands on in time, when the time is right and he's got
Oh, good.
the drainage going in the right. But this already exists, it's drainage here, it's just got some, whatever happens to grow. We were gonna replace that with certain native plants that are advantageous to slowing the runoff, filtering the water, etc. So that was this has the whole budget that you've seen in the packet. Just some smaller projects like signage with a QR code that goes to a map on the city's website, so we work on that. And a welcome packet for, I wonder, do you know how to back up? Is it just this? This is just one draft of the front of a postcard that we hope to send out to new residents, or maybe with, if it fits into our budget request, that would go to everyone just about projects we've done, showing them to the website where, the city website where they can see more information.
Or maybe it could go into our newsletter.
Absolutely.
So, of course, there's some of our existing projects. that-
Wow, thank you.
Any questions, council?
Yes, Mayor.
Well, since I'm not part of the committee anymore, I love everything you've presented, and thank you so much.
Well, thanks. We have fun working out our projects.
Not that I don't see you every once in a while.
Yeah, you guys do wonderful work with not a lot of dollars, and we live in the area near the All Abilities Park. I think that'll be such a great addition to have that, those shelters and stuff added. We've had like after-school birthday party gatherings, just like a little treat by there. The kids go and play, and it's just a nice, little pocket park kind of.
Yeah. Well, if anyone has ideas for us, you can always send them to our liaison, or I'm sure
Is
I'm
Elizabeth
listed
on
somewhere
that?
Yeah.
On that list?
Elizabeth?
No, but it is on our list as a
Got a
city.
grant- We have a
Yeah.
grant out for it
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
We have great things that were going to happen there. Just to add one thing, actually an insight from Nancy, we were trying to get students involved in some of our committees or commissions and boards, and we were able to on this particular commission. It does allow for students, so we have 2 students from Stony Creek High School now that are on this commission, which is wonderful.
Yeah, we have a sophomore and a junior, so
Yeah.
they'll be with us.
They're coming in May.
Okay, so they'll be on the list when we approve those
Okay, they're not.
on May. Okay, cool.
Okay, we were a little premature on
In
that
the works.
announcement, so. So thanks for all the hard work.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so moving on to our next item on our agenda, we're moving on to legislative deliberation. Item A is consideration of an ordinance amendment. This is section 8-9 for the feeding of animals, and this is a second reading and adoption. There was a pretty good article in the newspaper on this agenda item, which I thought was interesting, the way government works, that we got to have the first reading, it got some press on it, and then it comes back for second reading and adoption. So, City Attorney, are you taking this one?
Something to say.
I can do that, for sure.
Thank you.
Before City Council tonight is, as the mayor just indicated, is an ordinance amendment to add a new section 8-9 regarding the feeding of animals. At your March 24, 2025 meeting, the City Council considered a revised ordinance that was vigorously debated and discussed. Took quite a bit of time and consideration by City Council. And at the conclusion of that discussion, council moved for first reading and introduction. At this time, if city council wishes to proceed with adoption, then the requested action would be to move it forward for second reading and adoption.
And so, City Attorney, I know this also went back to the CAT committee. And so were there changes that were made by the CAT committee?
Well, the CAT committee had reviewed it before the last city council meeting and felt that it was consistent with the program, the CAT control program that the city has developed. So the experts in the field looked at this and took a look at the language, and we did have some debate. I actually attended that meeting as well before the city council discussion on it. And I don't want to put words in the mouth, but it was well received, and the CAT committee was in favor of this.
Okay, so I don't know if the CAT committee would like, some representative of the CAT committee would like to comment on this, or if other council members would like to take any other action on this.
You want to go first?
Councilmember Trent.
Okay, I'll go first. Yes, I was on the CAT committee, and I do appreciate the fact that on section B, what is it? 8-9.
So you're looking at the red line version of this in the
Yeah, the red line
packet?
version of the code, yes. That even though it says the unlawful feeding of feral or stray cats or dogs, of which it shall be unlawful to feed any feral or stray cat or dog by any means. I won't go on to finish it, but I did get a few emails about that, and I know that they were answered by several council members, and I appreciate the fact that they did confirm that the last sentence of the city's code enforcement officers may review and approve feeding or watering that may otherwise be prohibited, so long as such feeding or watering is in accordance with city-approved animal control efforts, which does have that flexibility for trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release, which I wanted to confirm that. I would also like to say that I do want to make sure this isn't weaponized about ground feeding, especially with the bowl of water that I have discussed. If it's left out on the porch, if there is someone who gets a ticket about a bowl of water on their porch, I would like to revisit this. That is my statement about water.
Thank you. Councilmember Hauser.
Sure. I would just like to thank everyone for their participation in this. And this was a process, and we put this together based on the recommendation of the outside groups, plural, that we use to help assist with this program. And I understand and appreciate that it's working in some areas. I think this particular amendment to this ordinance is going to help another area in town that has seen a lot of issues with feral cats. And so I would make a motion to adopt the second reading and adopt it into our ordinance.
Okay, motion by Hauser.
Support.
Support by King. Any other discussion? Councilmember Sage.
So when we started this discussion, we all agreed on a process. Trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release, right? And we tested it in one of the areas, well, in both areas. And in one area, it was very successful. And that was due in part too, by the neighbors that lived there, right? They were able to rationally discuss this and agree upon ways to address the issue. To me, this ordinance is looking for a problem. You can just say, the fact that we had to add into this ordinance C, a person who violates this will be, or shall be responsible for a civil infraction. In this other area in town, so we are making an ordinance for one area in town that will then encumber the rest of town. Is that smart? I don't know.
So I would, if I
Hold
can
on
add to that.
Councilmember Sage still has the floor. Are you complete?
I'm good.
Okay. Councilmember King.
I just wanted to add to it. So we started the TNVR process last year. We could only get to one area of town because of the weather. We had to put a pause because it would be inhumane to trap the cats and leave them in a cage overnight, right, freezing in the winter. We did restart those efforts. We've only just restarted. We're at like the very, start of that. So I don't know that it would be fair to say that it's not working in another area of town. That's all I want to just put out there. I hope that we'll have an update for the committee or the whole council here shortly on those
Mayor
efforts.
Pro Tem Vixen.
Yeah, so, again, we had a program, we were gonna do the pilot program in one, we're gonna do another. Before we get anywhere near to see how it's going, now we have this ordinance came up. To me, this ordinance is unenforceable. I mean, feral cat, what's the definition of a feral cat? Is it my neighbor who lets their cats out and has water out? Or is it feral cats that are, how do you decide what's a feral cat? How do you enforce this? It's just gonna be weaponized. I don't like my neighbor, so they have their water out there, so I'm gonna rat them out, like Councilmember Trent said. I mean, this is just not enforceable. This is bad government, in my opinion. This is a problem. This is a solution, looking for a problem. I talked to my neighbors, what's going on in the city? Well, there's all this cat stuff. They laughed. They don't even know, what are you guys doing? It's not a cat problem. Yeah, in these couple streets, it sounds like there was, and we had a plan for it. And the next thing we know, now we're doing a citywide ordinance that can be misinterpreted, weaponized, can't be enforced, and it seems like just government reach. So I will, again, vote no. Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion on this?
If I can clarify, the reason it worked on Griggs is because the residents and the neighbors bought into the program that was prescribed by these outside groups. The difference in this other part of town is that it's not the same goals and objectives, and that in order for TNR to work, it has to be done with the cooperation and conjunction with the residents, and that includes having designated feeders. That's why it worked over on Griggs. It's not working on the other side of town because they're not following the prescripted rules of that TNR program. That's the distinction. The reason this came in is because the TNR groups suggested and recommended that in order for TNR to be successful, this is one of the mechanisms that is going to get us there. And that's why this was done. It's not to weaponize, it's not to attack, it's not to go after any particular person or persons. It's in order to make sure that the TNR program is as successful as possible so we can resolve these issues, because it's clearly a problem for certain residents.
Thank you. So I think, City Clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
No.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
No.
Trent,
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. So, for my part on this, this is an issue that has a lot of tails to it. Pun intended, a lot of tails. And so I think we're just trying to take a step in the right direction to keep our neighborhoods safe and enjoyable for everyone. So I'm sure we'll have some reports on this in the future from the CAT committee. All right, moving on to item B. Item B and C, we're going to handle separately, but they're very similar. So this is consideration to approve traffic control order 25-01. This is regarding Fraser and First Street, Fraser and Wilcox. Chief George.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll start with traffic control order 25-01. This is a new order. Just give you a little history if someone doesn't understand what a traffic control order is. Under our city code 52-1, we adopted as a city the motor vehicle code. And under section 257606 of the motor vehicle code, it allows us as a local entity to adopt certain, we can place traffic control signs up within reason, being no right turns, no left turns, stop signs, no standing, no parking, things of that nature. So that's what gives us the authority to do this. We don't really do much of these. I mean, honestly, in my career, I think I've only done maybe a dozen of these. So what happens is if someone makes a complaint, on a certain street, or one of our officers notices that a certain street is not safe, we'll go check it out, and if we think it's deemed necessary to place a traffic control sign in that area, we come to council, and obviously, hopefully you'll approve it or disapprove it. So 25-01, I'm recommending no parking is permitted on the north side of First Street between Fraser and Wilcox. If you're familiar with First Street, if you're traveling west from Fraser, it's hilly, it's an incline, and it's kind of a hazardous situation, especially if it's raining or snowing out. There's no sign there that says no parking. On the south side, there are signs posted, no parking. So for consistency purposes, I would like to have no parking signs on the north side of the street from Fraser to Wilcox. We had a couple complaints on this. I did go there, I independently investigated, and you know what, it is dangerous. And it's not a good idea to park on a hill, especially when it's slippery out, or if it's dark out, getting out of your car, you can't see the car coming up the hill, and the driver can't see who's coming out of the car. So I think this makes sense. Again, I want it consistent with the other side of the street, and here we are today.
I have two questions on this, Chief George. So are there any residents that are going to be impacted, like if they're used to parking their car there, maybe overnight, doesn't fit in their driveway, something like that?
So what we would do is, if this is approved, I would contact the residents by mail. There's only a handful on both these traffic controllers, only a handful, and we'll give them ample notice that no parking signs are going to go up. This is something where, we're not obligated to notify them and they can come and appeal it. However, we want to be reasonable with them and tell them, hey, look, we're going to be putting a no parking sign on. But in this situation, this is something that is potentially dangerous, and it should be addressed. And if we don't address it and something does happen, then I don't know what to tell you, but we will notify the residents. And to be honest, I don't see too many cars park on the north side of First Street. Every time I go down there, I don't see any cars there.
And then what is the fine if someone were to park there with the
Prohibited
no parking
parking is,
signs?
I believe it's $50. Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
I was just saying that I walked it today, and it's pretty much apartments, that whole side,
Yes.
correct? So
Yes.
there really, I don't think there would be a particular resident that would have a
Okay.
problem, because they have their own parking lot there.
Councilmember King?
Well, the one side is apartments, but the other side of the street that already has no parking, correct?
Yes, correct.
Is residential homes.
Right.
So those people have, there's nowhere for 2 blocks, right?
Right, exactly.
First
And they
Street
already
that they
have no
can park.
parking on that
Right.
side, so they're used to not parking on that side.
That was my
Councilor Hauser.
question. There's no parking, currently there's no parking allowed on the south side.
Correct.
Okay, so this would remove the north.
We just want to make it consistent, add the signs on the north side, and we're done.
That's fine.
On the north side.
So do we have a motion, any action by council?
I'll make the
Councilmember
motion.
Hauser?
Sure, I would make the motion to adopt the recommendation for the traffic control devices, order 25-01 and I suppose 25-02.
No,
Oh,
we'll do
not-
them separate.
just one- Okay, I'm sorry, then just 25-01 then.
Motion by Councilmember Hauser,
Support.
support by Councilmember Sage, question by King.
So I'm a little concerned because there'll be nowhere for these residents to park for 2 city blocks. So if they're not able to fit their cars in their driveways, and this becomes an issue for them consistently, what's the remedy? And, we haven't notified them in advance. I think I would feel more comfortable if they had, I know it's not required, but if they had advance notice. That could become an inconvenience, especially if somebody is, handicapped or has mobility issues.
Well, we're not going to put up some, if this is approved tonight, I'm going to write letters to the residents, and we can give them a couple weeks' notice, let them know what's going on. But I have never, since I've been here, I've never seen a car parked on the north side. It's just, and again, especially if I was handicapped, I would certainly not want to park on a hill at night getting out of my car as traffic's going.
Chief, how was this brought to your attention?
Couple residents.
In the block,
area,
in the
yes,
area?
yes.
It was brought by the residents?
Yeah.
But you just
Councilmember-
said you've never seen a car park there.
Never seen one.
So why are we,
So the gentleman called me, 2 of them did, and people were parking there in the winter. One of them slipped and fell when they got out of their car, so he said, very rare, but you don't want that liability of people stepping on a First Street, which has a long ride before you hit a stop sign. So it came from residents that live on the other side saying, so I don't park my cars there, nobody else should either, because it's dangerous, so that's where it came from.
So it's all of First Street, or just from the
Fraser,
cemetery?
No,
Fraser.
we're just talking between
Oh,
Fraser and
okay.
Wilcox.
I see. Okay.
Councilmember Hauser?
So it's curious that you brought this up because a couple weeks ago, I received an email from a resident inquiring about this, and I directed them to contact you. And so I don't know if that was the genesis of it or not,
Yeah.
but I did receive an email from some, did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what it was for.
Yeah, you know what, it makes sense. We went over there, we looked at it, it makes sense. It's a legit complaint, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous.
Okay, yeah, I jogged there, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would
That
just,
area.
if this passes, I would like some sort of report out, maybe in the manager's packet, just if there was any resident concerns or feedback on that.
No
I
problem.
agree.
City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
yes, but I would,
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Motion passes. Counselor King.
I was just gonna say, I'd appreciate an update to
Well, we'll
it
get
for
you-
his
Yeah.
feedback
Yeah,
from
no problem.
residents' concerns.
Thank you. Item C, similar story, but here we're talking about Romeo, right?
Yes, Mayor, this is a traffic control order 25-02. This is a new order. This is on Romeo between Short and Englewood. Now, this is my pet peeve. If if you know Romeo Street, from Parkdale all the way to Letica,
Right.
it's 2 lanes. The
Right.
street cannot accommodate parked vehicles. It's double yellow line. So what's happening during normal hours, and there's vehicles that do park on Romeo, you have to cross the double yellow line to pass the car that's parked. They're violating the Michigan Motor Vehicle Code. And in the wintertime, it's even worse, because when the snow builds up at the curb, now the vehicle's partially, actually almost to the lane, you have to literally stop your vehicle and let the opposite direction pass. So this is very dangerous here, and it doesn't make sense, because all of Romeo is no parking on both sides, except this little section here between Short and Englewood. So what I'm recommending is no parking is permitted on the south side of Romeo from Short Street to Englewood. Same thing, if this gets approved, I will contact, I think there's maybe a half dozen residents on that side of the street. I will contact them, I will let them know what's going on, and we take it from there.
Counsel? Hauser?
Make a motion to adopt traffic control order 25-02.
Motion by Hauser,
I'll support.
support by Trent. To me, this is what happens when you have a newer set of eyes with a new chief of police in town. Maybe things, you're noticing things that maybe we haven't seen. So, thank you.
Thank you.
City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
We have no reports or regular business, but we do have reports from quite a few boards and commissions, starting out with RARA. Councilmember King, I'd like to compliment RARA on their use of technology in the report. You could click on the link and take you to the detailed report in Google Docs. So just so you know, I did.
It's a blessing and a curse. Can we, I need to bring mine up. Can we
Okay,
circle back
we'll
to
go,
it?
yeah, we'll come back to you. We'll move on to Paint Creek Trailways. Councilmember Sage.
Thank you, Mayor. We did release the RFP for Bridge 31-7. The plans are out there. Submissions are due by July 1st, and that'll keep us on timing to complete the project by fall. We also had a very interesting visit from Oakland County Parks. And they offered multiple services to the commission.
Wow, good.
I'll just give you a few of them, because we're still in a search for a new manager. They said they could provide an interim manager in that process. They could help us with website development and maintenance, the master plan development, license agreement administration, trail encroachment enforcement, conservation planning, and historic preservation activities. So we're going to continue working with them to see. We'll probably have to get some kind of an agreement to continue that discussion, but we're going to explore what might be possible with them, because it's going to involve all those communities. So we'll have to have kind of a parallel interlocal agreement with them. So I'll keep you posted.
Yep, good report, thank you. Councilmember King, you ready? Nope, okay, moving on. We will go to Downtown Development Authority.
Right.
Councilmember Trent.
Yep. Hey, Councilmember Sage, I'm very excited to hear that, really am. So we had a meeting on 4/16, and the farmer's market is moving to the east parking lot. Just to tell everybody, don't forget, if they haven't heard, it will no longer be on 3rd Street and Water, because of the Graham is coming. The opening day is May 3rd, so get ready.
Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday. There's one more thing that's exciting that's happening on May 3rd, but I will talk about that later. Graham is still on schedule for building construction, we were told. And Christy Trevorrow gave a really good presentation on the Main Street Conference that they attended, she and Jenna and Taylor. and Sean Hayes from Pay Creek Center for the Arts attended. In Philadelphia, she showed lots of murals, a lot of new market ideas. They learn a lot when they go to these conferences. I always like to see what they bring back. They had, one was called Storytelling, little-known stories about individuals in the city, and so they had these kind of large window clings that would tell the story, and they said people were really interested in reading that, and they called it Windows of the Past, and it's how they incorporated history throughout the city. Oh, and they were also looking for, and talking about ideas for having sculpture, or an opportunity to have your photo taken for social media that had Rochester on it, but artfully.
Right, so they're looking for what's the spot in Rochester that
spot?
you would want to take your selfie, your picture with. We don't have a spot like that, so I thought that was very creative.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
And Detroit has one in Campus Martius Park that has
Maybe
Detroit.
love local, something cool.
Yeah.
Something cool. Yeah, lots of good ideas coming. All right, next up, we have the Tree Committee. So I will take this one. Tree Committee met Monday, April 22nd. We did our planning for Arbor Day, which was Earth Day. We planted our mother tree, which was a red maple, in our micro mini forest. So it was really an exciting, great day. It was a beautiful sunny day. We talked about this at the meeting, that we have a legitimate documentary company that is following us on the journey of the microforest, and it is going to be in a documentary called One Nation Under Sod. So I'm hoping we can do something cool, maybe with Ra with their new movie, and we can have it outside when that documentary is available. So just excited about that. Great tree committee meeting. Again, we planned for that, and then Councilmember Trent went through the updates in our planning for the May 3rd ribbon cutting and planting for the rest of the microforest. For council, I'll just also give everyone an update that we have $26,000 in the tree fund. $16,000 is available. The tree bait program is back. And there is a current issue with an apartment complex in the city that cut down some trees. So we'll be having some discussion at the tree committee coming up. Thank you. Councilmember King, we going with Ra?
We're good.
Okay, roll.
Okay, so the 2025 approved budget is $3.394 million for revenue and expenses. So balanced budget there, and they have a fund balance of just over $1 million, which is at 34.58% of their operating expenses. So in really good, healthy condition. The sale of that other building, really helped to fund the capital expenditures, the roof, and put things in good shape. And there's no major capital expenditures. There's I think an $80,000 budget per year for maintenance, but nothing major coming our way, which is great. They are doing a millage with the City of Rochester Hills this year, as that is set to expire, so they'll be on the ballot come November. There's an RFP out for a master plan. And then this is kind of exciting. I wanted to just share, they're opening up an esports lab. So it's like a gaming center. And so there'll probably be like tournaments, after school programming, a lot to come out. But I think just, attracting a different audience there. I think there'll be software programming, courses as well, not just gaming. So there's a lot, I think, that can be done with that. They had brought in a woman who's doing, golf lessons in there with simulators. That's been really successful. So after all the challenges from the dance program kind of, going out on their own, they've really been able to replace those revenues, which is great. And then off to a really strong start through the year. There was even a pull ahead in camp signups. They had a lot of people that signed up for the full 8-week program. So we've seen really strong numbers through the April. So
great,
all good stuff.
Excellent. Any
I'm
questions?
just going to take on to
Councilmember
that.
Jones?
It is just more of a comment with what Ra is doing with the Lions Park.
Yes.
I was not here for that. I was out of town. Just that they are working with the Rochester Mills and with the city, and there will be a ribbon cutting on May 29th. that I'm working on right now with the chamber, and Katie Walker, the communication, I think,
Yes.
community,
Communications.
is doing.
For the
a-
hammock park.
No, this is for the Lions Park.
Lions Park, the music
venue.
series?
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be called.
Not Music in the Park.
Eats and Beats on Paint Creek, I believe is what the name of the park was gonna be. So, and there will be 4 Thursday nights and 2 Saturdays, so, and Rara's just doing a lot of the legwork, and so we appreciate that. They're doing something financial with the mills. I think they haven't figured out all those details yet, but, so.
Great. Why don't you roll into Raya?
Yes, from rah-rah to rah-yah. We had our meeting on 4/22, and we are in the middle of the budget process and electing officers for the board. But the big thing we're doing is this Saturday, because there's so much going on Saturday. It's our health and wellness fair. We have 30 vendors that are going to be there. They're doing hearts greeting for the teenagers. Rah is very involved in that also. They are going to have a bounce house and some other things they're going to provide for us there. We have right now about 400 people that are coming. So if anybody has something they think, they could have a table that has to do with health and wellness, contact me. I'm co-chairing that. And then I want to thank Trent Creative. They have put up with us in a brochure that we've been working on probably, I swear, 2 years now. Many changes and tweaks. It is done, and we thank you for your time at Trent Creative for doing that for us. It's finally done, and it will be, the debut will be at the event on Saturday. And then we just did our scholarships. We do 2 scholarships every year, and it's one of my favorite times of the year. We give away 2 $2,000 scholarships through RCS Foundation. And that event, I missed because I was also out of town, but it's just a wonderful night of lots of happiness. So that's it.
Sounds wonderful. Zoning Board of Appeals, City Manager.
Yes, so we just had one case last week. A couple on Glendale and Pine Street purchased a home. They needed it was a unique situation. The address is on Glendale, but they're going to turn the house to face Pine, which they could do so. At the end of it, they were successful in their asking. The Zoning Board of Appeals granted the interpretation that they didn't even need waivers based on the way the zoning board interpreted the ordinance, which is fine. They had that authority to do that in an administrative decision. So people are ecstatic. We get new residents. They're coming from Rochester Hills. So I called Brian and told him he lost one. So couldn't resist. So that was it.
Nice, thank you. How about Historical Commission, Councilmember Sage?
Thank you, Mayor. The commission would like to thank city administration for the gracious page there in the newsletter with regard to the DUR book and the historic house plaques. We also have Founder's Day secured for 2026 already. Carol Agbo and the DAR will be coming back to do an America 250 presentation. The museum has agreed to video it, and we would like to work with the city to get some local media coverage, but we have time to do that. May 10th is the headstone cleaning project with both the Scouts and the Robotics Clubs. I know you may have something to say about that. Questions that came up, are the spigots in the old section functional? Because we're going to need water.
Yep, we do.
Okay, great. And are we able to get tables and chairs? We're going to have registration, and they got to put out the food for the kids. Okay, we can get that. Great. Thinking ahead again, would the city be amenable to the Historical Commission putting a tree in the lobby here at City Hall for the Festival of Trees celebration?
Absolutely.
Great. And finally, the elevator. When Masheri redoes that, will that be considered a public space or only for the residents there?
So I can answer that. So what they've offered, it's private, but they have a public part of it. They are going to, if you schedule it, like for Pat McKay tours, so you could ask to go in there. So it is their private clubhouse, but it's meant to be a publicly used information center, but by appointment.
All right, so I guess we would have to talk to Ms. Sherry. We'd like to put a display in there, the historical.
They're totally open to that,
yeah.
totally
Okay.
open.
Okay, great. That's it.
Awesome. Councilmember Jones, I think now we're going to talk about the cemetery.
Now we are, which is, yeah, building off of that, there's lots of different people working on making this event come together for the celebration next year for the 250th, and having 3 of the Revolutionary soldiers buried there. I think there's a 4th they're working on confirming, so we're kind of putting all those pieces together. I'm working with Dave Carter, who is our secure of all information about the cemetery. Marcy approval of the different, as Anthony alluded to, different things that had to be purchased to clean the headstones. I'm meeting him there this week, so we can kind of take a survey. Super exciting. The Boy Scouts and the robotics kids are very excited about participating. And that's going to be May 10th from 9 to 1, and DAR is providing lunch and all kinds of good stuff. And the bathroom works there, so that was a concern. So there is a bathroom in the cemetery that they'll be able to use. And then there is a fundraiser, I don't have the date. We're trying to do a fundraiser for the fence, which I guess has been talked about for many years before I was involved in city council. So I think we're meeting with Mr. Pixley, and the mayor's going to be there, and the cemetery committee to really start putting into place how can we fundraise, what can we do. There is, and I probably don't have all the information on the filling in of the road. There was a little segment of road there that was not necessary. It wasn't leading to anything, so either that's been filled in, it's being filled in, 50% done. And the good news about that is I think it's going to provide about 94 new monument spots. So that's a revenue that we're going to have coming in, which will be good, hopefully go to doing the fence. I think that's it.
Excellent. I think America 250 is going to be pretty exciting. I believe the city has gone in for an America 250 grant, so we're trying to get some money, but I remember the bicentennial. I was a very small girl back then, and so I'm hoping America 250 in Rochester is even more exciting, you know.
And
I want every resident to be involved, so we'll talk more about that.
I'm going to backtrack for 1 second. When you said grant, so there was a application submitted. Actually, the funny thing is, Pat McKay brought it to my attention. He's like, oh, you're cleaning headstones? They love giving out grant money for stuff like that. And Marcy actually had already heard about it, and she was working on it, so we'll wait and see that we've submitted for it, and that would pay for the materials and some stuff we're doing for that.
Wow,
that's 250.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We love grants.
Yeah.
We love grants. Last up is Principal Shopping District.
I feel like
Councilmember
we've
Jones, I think
maybe
we
we've
talked about
covered
that one.
We can end with not talking anymore about
Okay.
PSD.
All right, did I miss any? I'm famous for missing one. I don't think I missed any tonight.
Oh, you did.
All right, any comment from the back row back there? No, no comment? All right, City Clerk, I know you have updates.
Just for the benefit of the public, you all already know, we did not receive the required number of candidates to hold a primary, so the August 5th primary is canceled.
Excellent.
And
then we're going to have, in the future, we're going to have something on the ballot to eliminate the need for a primary.
Attorney and I are working on that for the next couple of meetings to have that for the charter amendment.
Great. I did skip public comment, so is there anyone here who would like to make public comment?
Pat Kane, 817 West 4th Street, Rochester. Just 2 quick things. First of all, no remiss to Councilmember Sage, but the microforest that's going to be planted, will that include all of the plants, Marilyn, this weekend? All of them?
Everything will be
Okay, will a
planted
few
on the
words
back.
possibly be said about all the oak trees? Because the history of Rochester was we were founded, we were the only community founded in Michigan, way back, with every species of oak trees, all 5 species. And that was our cornerstone, and that's what brought the trails in. That was one of the pieces that helped because of the food and the acorns and everything that started all of this. So I don't know if it's too late to work in somehow a few words with historical.
maybe more work for somebody, I don't know.
Sure.
You can.
Thank you.
So,
Send that
yeah,
to
that,
me.
that was
we
kind
have.
of important.
I
Then the
appreciate
only-
that.
The only other thing is that there was a bill 4395 that was, as they say, dead in legislature on May 17th, 2023. It is coming up again for review. It's going to change a few things because of all the multiple certifications going on in the state. For every type of certification under these umbrellas, for monarch, for birds, for pollinators, for wildlife, everything. So I'm just gonna keep my eye on that, and I'll give you an update, because not only was there backing from the DNR, and there's backing from the environmental, and there's backing from recreation, because it's a draw, and there's backing from, under the environmental protection and natural resources. And this is the first time I think this bill's going to have backing from actual, I don't like to use the words, they're using the word prosecutors, but it will not be prosecutors, it will be attorneys and everybody backing it in cities for residential. But I'll let you know what happens, because even if it comes up at this point, it would not be passed for over a year, or about a year. I would look at it for next year. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other public comments tonight? Okay. City manager?
So I just have one. So if you see a DNR fisheries truck driving through town next week with 55-gallon drums with skulls and crossbones on them, don't be alarmed. I approved today access through our property to the Clinton River. So when we've talked about the Yates Dam breached, the Clinton River breached the Yates Dam, that was the barrier that stopped lamprey from getting from Lake St. Clair through the Detroit River up to the Clinton, north of the Yates Dam. So that's been open for 2.5 years now. So they completed their DNA coding. Unfortunately, in Paint Creek, a little bit, they found evidence of lamprey and the Clinton. So they're going to come in, and they don't like to do this, but they have to do this, because if it gets out of control, it will wreck a $43 billion industry throughout Chicago, all the Great Lakes off lamprey get going. So they're going to come in, they literally shock the river with something called rotenone that kills the lamprey larvae only, doesn't hurt the fish. So
it's still safe to fish?
Everything, yeah. So it's just, yeah, so they can't take a chance on expanding it all. So once the dam's put back in, we got the money from the feds, and it's still going to take about 12 months to fix that river, but they have to do it one time. So if you see that in town, we know about it, and they didn't want us to publicize it, because the odds of you seeing that truck, because they do it at night, probably aren't good. So, but they wanted us to let everybody know that we're aware of it. They're doing what they have to do. So that's it.
Thank you. City attorney?
Nothing, thank you.
Counselor King?
Nothing tonight.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, two quick things. I was on the trail. The trail looks like it's in great shape. And they had a group out there working on the monarch butterfly garden by Kings Cove.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was very good. Good to see them out there. They had a good group doing that. And then we saw the presentation from the schools on their co-op program. And just wanted to say, I saw like 20 pre-nursing students at Cedarbrook, and are starting there, and I talked to a couple of them on their way out, and they were very excited. So I think that's a great community. Give the students some experience and work with the seniors. So it's a very nice community, and kind of apropos to what we saw the presentation.
Right, right. Karen doing that,
Very
yeah.
cool. Councilmember Sage?
Nothing to say to me.
I'm up. I just wanted to say, I belong because of Raya, I was going to this group, and it used to be called CORE, is for nonprofits, but then we merged with the chamber, and we meet once a month, and it's the nonprofit peer solution group through the chamber, and we met this week, and DTE came and spoke to us about volunteers, et cetera. And it's just a great organization, it's all the nonprofits in the area, and so that's all. I just wanted to mention that I'm doing that. Second, this is a combination of Ra and Raya, and it's, I think I mentioned it before, it's Camp Safari. This is a low-cost, $20 per week per camper, amazing camp that Ra offers. There's 3 locations that buses come and pick the children up. It's from June 16th to August 15th, and it's great. Get the word out. every year they struggle a little bit with filling it. So I
I would
just,
think it would sell out.
you would think it would. I mean, your kids are picked up, and they pick up at Rochester Estates, Northridge Apartments, or Hampton Elementary School. So they pick up, they drop off.
I'll send my neighbor kids.
Yeah, it's a wonderful low income, so I think you do have to qualify at the $20 per week per camper. So it's a great deal. Camp Safari. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Trent?
Oh, just a couple of.
May 3rd, is there something exciting happening?
Well, yeah, lots of planning. So on last Wednesday, the 10 team leaders met, or 7 of them met, and we discussed with them how the planting day would go, and they will have oversee 2 team associates each, so that's a total of 30. I see a team leader out in the audience, Janine Krupp. So, yeah, we're ready to rock and roll, and the delivery of 290 trees and shrubs will be delivered to DPW on Wednesday, and I will be there with my volunteer coordinator checking those in, one of my board members, and DPW will be helping as well. And I cannot thank the DPW and Parks Department enough, and Nick Banda, city manager, for all the support that they have done, and I did not know what I was getting into. They had to do a big, heavy lift, and I think maybe Nick Banda might have known, but we all forged ahead and did that. And as to say that the joy that people are already sending me emails and responding to just the mother tree and the gathering of the team leaders. I got an email from a woman that couldn't make it to the planting of the mother tree, and she said, I wanted to tell you that I was excited to start a new Earth Day tradition of visiting the mother tree on Earth Day. I couldn't make it to the planting during the day, but I visited her in the evening, and I can't wait to see it all come together, and I'm looking forward to learning more about this. And she sent me a picture. It was just so nice. And a shout out to Mayor Salvia's niece, Becca, who posted this on her Instagram page, drawing of the mother tree, and she was there also helping that day, and then she had some pictures that she posted on it, and she will also be planting with the mayor, with the shovel. Also, Councilmember Hauser will be there as well, and he's already viewed the plot. And just to say that plot is ready to go, but, well, here we go. Everyone is invited to come on May 3rd at 2 p.m. to the ribbon cutting that is being presented by the Rochester City Beautiful Commission, the Tree Committee, with support from Rochester Pollinators, and Rochester Regional Chamber of Commerce has hopped on board and donated that ribbon cutting cost as well. So you'll be able to meet the planners, talk to the volunteers, see what it looks like the first day, and then watch that mini forest or micro forest grow. And we'll have some speakers talking about this, and we'll have tree cookies. So you have to come for the tree cookies.
And be part of a documentary.
Yes, and be part of a documentary. Yep. All right, well, thank you. Oh, it is a little hard to find for those of you who don't know where it is. It is behind the Scott Field, or also known, there's also Mr. C's Car Wash on Woodward. I always say behind the big rock and the trees, and then around the corner, and then in between Dinosaur Hill and the community garden. But we will have signage. I will do signage, and you will be able to find.
And I do think Anthony, our Google Maps expert, is working on the Google Map coordinate for the. Yep.
Oh, are you? Well, that is good.
Yep.
And that, and you will find us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very briefly, thank you for all the work that you've done on that. It's a really fascinating project. I'm eager to see it on Saturday. And I think that whole area, when the skate park gets done, and that community garden, I have a plot now, so if anyone needs an heirloom plant tomato, let me know. And then finally, the Blight Subcommittee met earlier this week, and I think we made some really good progress. So maybe in the next, month or so, we'll probably bring that back up and have a conversation on that. But I think we've reached consensus on the amendment to that, and we'll push it forward, like I said, probably sometime in June or July.
Excellent. I just have two things as we wrap up tonight. One is that there's been the open hours regarding the master plan and the future land use map. Lots of really good discussions. I think all of the big topics that we have been getting a lot of emails and a lot of public comment. We are working through a plan forward on all of those. So we will be getting a report from John Jackson, the city planner. But just as a reminder of the process, you know, the language goes through Planning Commission, the future land use map goes through Planning Commission with series of public hearings. And then when that is all approved, then it comes back to city council and we'll go through that process as well. So we're making our way through, and I think we're going to get there. We're going to get there, and it's going to be better than it has been. And then lastly, we will be at our May meetings. We will be making appointments. There's quite a few people who've put their names in to be on boards and commissions, and so some of them are wondering when they're going to get appointed, so that'll happen at our next two meetings. But there are still some openings, so I would ask council if you could take a look, especially if it's a council appointment, and see if there's someone you know that should be on those. With that, thank you very much, everyone. Meeting is adjourned.
Well, no, it wasn't.
It's a lot more work.